In 1966, Kim Jong Il took on an important role in North Korea's propaganda and agitation department, eventually becoming the head of the Motion Picture and Arts Division. Known for his deep love of cinema, he amassed an extensive collection of 15,000 films. Through his position, Kim Jong Il used movies and operas as tools to spread a unified message, aiming to foster national pride and, essentially, elevate the reverence for Kim Il-sung. In the early 1970s, Kim Jong-il closely watched North Korea's films and noticed that they lacked the energy and dynamics of international movies. Disappointed by this, he realized that the problem was a lack of passion among the actors and crew. He pointed out that the North Korean film industry was cushioned by state support. They had grown complacent because there wasn't any competition. There was one film studio and that was it. Meanwhile, South Korean filmmakers poured their heart and soul into their work in order to succeed because that's how capitalism works. Almost like, capitalism does in fact breed innovation. Curious. Kim Jong-il recognized the need for a shift in North Korean cinema and sought out fresh, passionate talent to elevate the country's artistic landscape. In broader strategy discussions, he stressed the importance of limiting the uncontrolled influx of Western films on television, fearing that such exposure could promote nihilism and foster admiration for the US. His vision aimed to strike a balance between embracing technological advancements and selectively allowing foreign works to ensure that patriotic values were preserved. Enter South Korean actress Choi Yun-hee, who became involved when she was enticed by an intriguing offer in Hong Kong. She was promised the opportunity to direct a film and oversee a performing academy at a prestigious Hong Kong school. However, this entire offer was a ruse, and her life took a dramatic and unexpected turn. On January 22, 1978, Choi Yun-hee was abducted from Repulse Bay and taken forcefully to Nampo Harbor in North Korea. There she was housed in this luxurious villa that was known as Building Number 1, which would become her new home. She was then taken on this extraordinary tour of Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, where she was shown numerous historical landmarks and museums. The experience was both captivating and surreal, especially when she was given the rare opportunity to visit Kim Il-sung's birthplace. As time went on, Choi's situation took an even more unexpected turn. She was assigned a private tutor who was responsible for educating her about the life and achievements of Kim Il-sung, the leader of North Korea at the time. To her surprise, another figure entered her life, and that was Kim Jong-il, who showed a very deep interest in her opinions on various films and treated her with respect, appreciating her perspective as an artist. He introduced her to the cultural landscape of North Korea, exposing her to a vibrant mix of movies, operas, musicals, and lively social events. However, after Choi Yun-hee mysteriously disappeared, South Korean film director Shin Sang-ok embarked on an intense search to find her. You might be wondering, why was Shin so determined to find her? Well, she was his ex-wife. Despite their divorce and the fact that he had already started a new family, he was deeply invested in finding her. At the time, he was dealing with major challenges from the South Korean government, which had revoked his film license for Shin Studios, leaving him in a very difficult situation both professionally, financially, and personally. Desperate to secure a resident visa, Shin traveled to several countries hoping to get the green light for one of his more recent films. However, 6 months after her disappearance, fate took a shocking turn when North Korean agents abducted Shin while he was in Hong Kong looking for her. Although he was given luxurious accommodations, the truth about Choi's capture was kept from him. See, the North Korean government wanted high-quality films, and they knew that if they mistreated Shin or, held him as a traditional hostage, he would probably not want to work for them, and if he did, he would just churn out slop. Shin's entire ordeal was grueling. He tried to escape twice and failed, which then led to even more imprisonment. On February 23, 1983, he received a letter informing him that he would soon be released from jail. Finally, on March 7th, the impossible happened. Shin and Choi were joyfully reunited at a celebratory event hosted by none other than Kim Jong-il. Honestly, it's so surprising that this story hasn't been turned into a feature film yet. There are documentaries like Robert Kanan and Ross Adams' The Lovers and the Despot that have covered these events, and there's a French TV miniseries titled Kim Kong, which is a really funny title, that dramatizes these events, but a full biopic definitely seems overdue, especially when you consider what's about to happen next. Shin and Choi were given the rare opportunity to explore Kim Jong Il's vast personal film library, which boasted a staggering 15,000 movies. The couple was tasked with a unique mission: watch and analyze 4 movies each day. And these were movies that ranged from, the communist bloc to occasional Hollywood classics being thrown into the mix. Despite being, held hostage against their will, Shin and Choi developed a deep respect for Kim's unmatched knowledge of film and his unique perspective on the art. Over time, a special bond began to form between the three as they engaged in passionate discussions about cinema, storytelling, and the broader world. Wouldn't you just love to sit in that conversation? I feel like that'd be so interesting. I wish that Kim Jong Il was still alive just so we can get him on Joe Rogan. Imagine how wild that'd be. In one of these conversations, Kim Jong Il revealed to them that he basically wanted Shin to direct a film that would compete in an international film fest. This was a big opportunity because Shin had actually lost his license to be able to make movies in South Korea. On the other hand, Kim Jong Il understood the challenges of presenting North Korea's propaganda-heavy content to international audiences, as well as just competing with other movies, because, let's be honest, pretty much everyone hates North Korea, so you're already working at a disadvantage. So, he granted Shin creative freedom to basically make whatever he wanted. Shin and Choi went on to create 6 films for Kim Jong Il and the North Korean government. The first of these was An Emissary of No Return from 1984, a film adaptation of the stage play Bloody Conference. Ironically, it was written by Kim Il-sung, and the story follows Ri Jun, a Korean emissary who attends the 1907 Hague International Peace Conference in a bid to gain international support to overturn the 1905 Japanese-Korean Protective Treaty. This treaty had placed Korea under Japanese control, and despite delivering a passionate speech, he fails to win over the Western powers. In a dramatic and defiant act, he commits harakiri in front of the diplomats. As the director, Shin broke new ground in North Korean cinema by filming certain scenes in Czechoslovakia and even casting European actors, which had never been done before for a North Korean movie. The second film that they produced was Love, Love, My Love, from the same year of 1984, a modern adaptation of the ancient Korean folktale, The Tale of Chunhyang. This North Korean film stands out for its very unique musical format, as the story centers around the love between Chunhyang and Mongyoung. Their love is put to the test when he leaves for the capital to undergo training as a government official. In his absence, a new governor becomes infatuated with Chunhyang, and when she rejects his advances, he imprisons her. At the end, she's rescued by Monghyung, and then they live happily ever after. It's kind of like a fairy tale. The third film that they created was Runaway, a period piece set in the 1920s during the Japanese colonial era in Korea. The story follows Song Ryul and his devoted wife as they endure the harsh realities of extreme poverty. As they search for a better life, they migrate to the Gando region of Manchuria, but their struggles continue. Determined to make a difference, Song Ryul joins the Kim Il-sung group, aligning herself with the guerrillas. With courage and conviction, he carries out a daring mission to destroy a Japanese army train. The fourth film, Salt, from 1985, serves as a direct sequel to Runaway, this time focusing more on Song Ryul's wife, who is played by Choi Yun-hee. The family ends up sheltering a wealthy Korean-Chinese merchant, which leads to a tragic confrontation between Japanese police and Chinese bandits, resulting in the father's death. The wife, overwhelmed by grief, initially blames the communists for her husband's demise. Struggling in poverty, she seeks help from the merchant only to endure a brutal assault. As life continues to deal her harsh blows, a neighbor introduces her to the risky yet lucrative business of smuggling salt. During one smuggling run, the group is attacked by the Japanese and she's rescued by a communist group. This encounter reveals to her that the communists are the true champions of the people, sparking a profound change within her. With renewed purpose, she decides to join their cause in a film that is definitely not propaganda. I swear it is. This is not propaganda. The fifth film that they made was The Tale of Shim Chong from 1985, the second musical that was produced by the duo. The story revolves around, Shim Chong, who lives with her blind father. In a selfless act to restore his sight, she sacrifices herself and is taken by merchant seamen. Thrown overboard, she descends to the temple of the god of the sea, but is returned to Earth on a giant floating orchid. A king discovers her, they fall in love, and they marry. In the end, Shim Chong is reunited with her father, who is miraculously cured of his blindness. Finally, what you are all here for. The sixth and final film that Shin and Choi made while in North Korea was PULGASARI, a kaiju film created in response to the success of Toho's The Return of Godzilla. The special effects in PULGASARI were handled by experts from Toho Studios, the creator of Godzilla, who were tricked into believing that they were making a project in China. The role of PULGASARI was played by Godzilla suit actor Kenpachiro Satsuma, with Minya suit actor Little Man Machan portraying baby PULGASARI. The movie is loosely based on a forgotten 1962 South Korean film that was directed by Kim Myung-ji, which is considered to be Korea's first kaiju film, as it predates Yongari Monster from the Deep by 5 years. PULGASARI unfolds in medieval Korea during a peasant revolt against a tyrannical emperor. The tale kicks off with a young girl sewing when she pricks her finger and a drop of her blood falls onto a small dragon toy made from rice. This then somehow sets off a transformation, bringing the toy to life as the mighty monster PULGASARI. Inspired by the girl's courage and the farmer's struggle, PULGASARI becomes their fierce defender, fighting against the Emperor's forces with unrelenting zeal. He even tears down the Emperor's palace walls, symbolizing the uprising. However, as PULGASARI grows stronger, so does his hunger. His appetite leads him to devour the very tools that the farmers need to survive. In a desperate bid to save her people, the girl disguises herself as food for the monster, and tragically, he accidentally eats her, causing an explosion, which kills both her and the monster. There's a rumor that director Shin Sang-ok slyly inserted a hidden message into the film. Some believe that the monster, PULGASARI, represents Kim Il-sung's betrayal of the People's Revolution, twisted to serve his own ends. Others interpret PULGASARI as a call to the North Korean people to rise up against Kim's oppressive rule. In the film, PULGASARI is portrayed as a ruthless ruler, demanding iron farming tools from his subjects, even after the previous regime has already been overthrown, so there is no threat. His insatiable hunger for power creates a rift with the working class, eventually leading to their rebellion and defeat of their former savior. The monster itself draws from Korean mythology, where PULGASARI is a bloodthirsty beast that grows larger with every metal object that it consumes. According to legend, a Buddhist monk fleeing persecution carved a small rice figure and fed it needles. To everyone's astonishment, the figurine grew into a massive monster, causing fear and prompting the government to send soldiers with metal weapons to destroy it. Despite the monster's immunity to metal and its destruction of a village, attempts to kill it with fire also failed. Folklore does vary. Some say PULGASARI still lurks in the shadows, others believe that brave monks eventually defeated it, and as for the film itself, while the PULGASARI suit, thanks to Toho's involvement, is impressive, the acting is very melodramatic, and the pacing is pretty rough. Despite the wonderful special effects, this film does very much feel like your standard kaiju flick. It's pretty dull. Now here's the thing. Choi and Shin realized that they couldn't be living like this forever, so they came up with an escape plan. They secretly recorded conversations with Kim Jong Il to have proof that they hadn't left South Korea willingly. In October 1983, they captured a confession from Kim about his plan to kidnap them to boost North Korea's film industry. This recording was crucial for their defense because if they, defected, people could just say, oh, you tried to defect to North Korea, you didn't like it, now you're coming back. Or they might even think that Choi and Shin were spies. While at a press conference in Belgrade on April 12, 1984, they falsely claimed to have moved to North Korea voluntarily, and this was part of their strategy to kind of safeguard themselves. In 1986, while on a trip to Vienna, supposedly to find funding for a film about Genghis Khan, Choi and Shin seized the opportunity to escape. They managed to convince their North Korean guards to leave the room, and at 12:30 p.m. on March 12, 1986, they checked into the Intercontinental Vienna. They then reached out to the U.S. Embassy and escaped with the help of a journalist named Akira Inoki, avoiding North Korean pursuers. They got into a taxi and drove off to escape, but when traffic slowed them down, they made a daring leap from their taxi and ran to the safety of the embassy. The escape made headlines internationally, with the New York Times reporting on March 22, 1986 about how they evaded their North Korean handlers and sought refuge in the U.S. Embassy. Shin later spent several years working in the U.S. film industry before returning to South Korea. North Korea continued to deny the kidnapping, claiming that Shin and Choi defected voluntarily and accused them of embezzling funds intended for the Genghis Khan project. And that is the story of how North Korea made a kaiju movie by kidnapping the director and the lead actress, and the entire thing is such a shit show. I love it. Obviously, it's hell what they had to go through, but I still think it is a wild story and something that doesn't get talked about enough. And with all that out of the way, I'm Cole McCormick. You're watching Firewind Media, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.